Paul, I'm getting the tweet ready for the show, and of course I'm going straight to the dumpster fire because that's what the Houston Rockets are.
Oh my God,
they're a dumpster fire. There's no reason to waste time and not get right into it. They stink, man. Like, the Thunder are going through the same rebuild with all the draft capital that the Rockets are. They've got a guy who looks like he hasn't eaten a cheeseburger in his life, and Chet Holmgren bullying the Rockets players. This team stinks.
It's not that surprising. It isn't. The Oklahoma City Thunder are a very good team. They are young. They're on the rise. In SGA, they have arguably a top 5 player with what he's done the last couple of seasons. So there's a part of me that doesn't want to get too mad because I would ask a lot of people, what were you expecting this year? But seeing the general reaction to the Rockets getting their asses spanked on national TV last night from the boboist of the bobos that love this Rockets team online, that to me was telling. I am wondering, Joe, how many people are happy with what they've seen from the Rockets this year? Anything. Because there were moments where we were excited about Alperen Şengün. There were moments where we were excited about Jabari Smith Jr. We have a soft place in our heart. I know Sean Mapes has been thinking about buying a jersey for Dylan Brooks in the Dylan Brooks Show.
Sean, I have questions.
Why?
I was thinking about it early.
Like early.
Like
the first 2 weeks of the season.
He's a little expensive. Just a little bit.
Well, like my issue with the Rockets, and like I think that what you ask is a fair question of what did you expect? I think it's the fact that they started the first 3-4 weeks of the season, Paul, where they had the number 1 or number 2 defense in the NBA. So the season started in a much different way than it is now. Like it looked like the Udoka effect was real, that he had come in, besides Jalen Green defensively, he got everyone else on board, that, Fred and Dylan were making immediate impacts in free agency or from free agency. And like the path was good. And because at the time, the vibes were high. Like the Astros were good. The Texans were good. The Rockets looked like they figured it out. And now it just looks like they found a cliff and they fell off it.
I wish I were surprised.
Fair.
I wish I had the same energy as you do today. I guess I'm sort of playing good cop because there were so many bad habits that happened during the Stephen Silas era, and perhaps upstairs as well, where no matter how hard you wanted to flush it all away in 1 year, it's going to take some time to do this stomach pump, if you will. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of bad habits that can be totally different at the beginning of a season when everyone's excited. But over the grind of a long NBA year, we're talking 82 games, and you got a bunch of, let's be honest, at least compared to us,
babies,
kids.
Yeah.
You can see how
a quarter of the roster can't drink alcohol, Paul.
And a hard ass like Ime Udoka might drive you to drink.
And they can't legally do that, Paul.
So I understand everyone getting mad. I guess it's interesting to me, the vitriol that was out there, specifically online for the Rockets last night. Maybe it was because it was on national TV and we feel like we've been pantsed as a city, especially now that the Astros aren't playing yet and the Texans are done. But yeah, I'm not that surprised. I'm not going out of my way to watch that much of them. They are on the small TV above the big TV where I'm watching Dune because I need to watch Dune 2 when it comes out tomorrow.
I'm going to watch Dune this weekend, so I can see Dune 2 this weekend.
It's got 97%.
Hey, that's incredible.
For sci-fi movies, that's like better than Terminator 2. Listen, I buy into that hype. The first one had some awesome special effects. I had no idea what the hell was happening. I felt like I needed like Cliff Notes or a book to follow all the plots. I had turned the subtitles on because I was like, that guy just said, I'm like, what the gosh? I can't swear. What the GD bleep is that?
How did Dune, the audio quality of Dune, get drive you to almost curse and not the Rockets' performance last night.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that is the bigger problem in that movie.
Fred VanVleet was like 1 for 10, and you're here being like, couldn't really hear Dave Bautista in Dune.
They're very expensive. Van Vliet, Dylan Brooks.
Yes.
So Van Vliet frustration. Maybe I should have a little bit more. There is a part of me that wonders, did you really have to spend that much to get him in the moment? And it felt like a lot of people were like, well, hey, this is who you are. This is what you kind of have to do. You're paying a bit of a loser tax to get any veterans in here. And I mean, last year they needed veterans. There were no veterans at all, and it was an absolute disaster. I mean,
the only
Kevin Porter. They were trying to turn Kevin Porter Jr. into James Harden, for God's sake.
Yeah, I think that's what the frustration though is for fans, is that they spent $60 million in free agency. One of those guys, Jock Londale, doesn't play. They have all these first round picks. You have what we think is going to be a very, very good coach, and then it just hasn't turned into the quick turnaround that people were hoping for. And it has been a long process. It's been bad for, since 2020, really. Since they came back into the bubble, things have been bad. They barely beat Oklahoma City that first year in the playoffs, the year in the bubble. And it feels like since then, it's just gotten so bad. I think people were just hoping that it was finally time that things were going to change. And to your point, what you said about national television, isn't that the first time they've played on national TV in like 3 years?
It was January 21 was the last time.
So like that's crazy. It's like it's been 3 years since they've played on national television, and they got pantsed.
Might be another year.
It might be another
two.
They play on ESPN next month.
Oh, can't wait.
Clippers. Clippers come to town.
Oh, can't wait.
Oh, they're screwed.
That's going to go well.
That's going to go horribly. Unless the Clippers are doing a load management day.
Well, it is a home game. The Rockets, 20 of their 25 wins on the season have come at Toyota Center.
James Harden be at the strip club the night before.
Oh.
So, maybe you'll get James Harden on a bad day. Yeah. Maybe he'll be a little sleepy.
Here's the problem. He might take all the young Rockets out because they all seem to love him.
It's true.
And probably take out the entire Rockets brass as they love him so much.
I think that the Rockets, it's just the fans are frustrated that the rebuild doesn't seem to be building to anything. Like you spent $60 million, brought in a new coach, more first round picks, more lottery picks, and you were the 14th seed last year, the 14th team in the West, and now you're the 12th team in the West. Like, it just feels like it's been very little progress at this point. It feels like.
I disagree with that because they have 25 wins and they had 22 last year. Their over-under this season was like the low 30s. They're probably going to get that. So
I would like them to.
They're actually going to meet expectations.
Yeah.
You mentioned their defense has fallen off since being the best team in the NBA the first 2 weeks. They've fallen off to 6th in the NBA.
I know. It just feels
defense.
worse. It just feels worse. It feels so much worse.
They're a perfectly fine team, especially when you go with through the young players, because that's what this is about, the development of the young players. How do you feel about Sengun's year in total?
Pretty good.
You feel good about it. Tari Eason, would like for him to be healthy, but when he was out there, you feel good. Jabari Smith, very good. Jabari Smith has vastly improved. You look at the rookies, Amon Thompson and Cam Whitmore. You love what the rookie years you got out of them.
We got two good cops in here.
Yeah. Jalen Green has been one of the worst players in basketball, and they're about to meet the expectations that we had before the season. And the biggest issue at the beginning of the season, the biggest issue now was who is going to be the scorer on this team. You looked at Jalen Green. He has not been able to do it, and they're still going to meet expectations. I just have a hard time getting worked up about how I saw people saying this team's in purgatory. These people do not know what NBA purgatory is.
Yeah, they're not in purgatory yet.
All their best players are 22 years old. Guys, that's not NBA purgatory.
Yeah, I think it's just a level of wanting more. And a lot of this is Jalen Green, to Sean's point, because I think he's right. We are overall should be pretty happy with Alpi and Jabari and the rookies, that how they've played this year. It's just, I think now it's the realization that Jalen is never going to be the player you want. And last night, I think being on national television feels like it exposes that.
It does. We kind of already knew that, too.